Welcome to Clarinet Chats. My name's Adrian Cox. I'm a Vandoren UK artist and professional clarinetist, and I've decided to put together this video series to answer some of the questions that people ask me about my clarinet choice, my mouthpiece choice and reed choice, and a little bit more about how I approach the music that I play. Being a professional clarinetist, I'm of course obsessed with the instrument, and therefore making these videos is going to be a complete joy. And if you do have any questions that you want to ask me, please make sure you put them in the comments, and also make sure you subscribe to my channel, Adrian Cox Music. You can do that right here, press the button. The most popular question I get is, Adrian, what mouthpiece do you use and how did you come about choosing that mouthpiece? Well, to answer that, I have to go right back to the start of when I took up the instrument. I was 6 years old when I started playing clarinet, but by the age of 12 I'd met a clarinetist, a man called Jack Gilbert, or his full name was Jumping Jack Gilbert. If you knew him or you'd ever seen him, you'd know why they call him Jumping Jack. He was an incredible jazz clarinetist. He was an incredible clarinetist. His technique was fantastic, his sound was amazing, and he was an incredible teacher. I was very, very lucky to have him. He lived around the corner from me when I grew up, and I was able to go and see him once a week. His lessons were 30 minutes long, but he put me at the end of his teaching schedule so I could stick around for an hour or 2 hours, and we'd play together, we'd listen to music, we'd eat fish and chips, we'd laugh and have a great time. And I owe so much to Jack. And I miss him dearly. But he was the guy who got me on to the mouthpiece that I play. He said, now when you're playing jazz, traditional jazz, as that's what my background was in, he said, you'll always come up against trumpet players who can blast it out, trombone players who can blast it out. And he said, you want to be able to be there cutting through. And so he said, I'm going to introduce you to this mouthpiece, he said, which you will struggle to blow. And he was right. It was this mouthpiece. It's a Vandoren 5JB. It's known as the jazz mouthpiece. Now, the reason it's known as the jazz mouthpiece, and a lot of jazzers used it, is for that exact reason. You may not have a microphone, and so you're playing against these louder instruments. Not against, but you should be playing together, really, shouldn't you? But and so the 5JB has the ability to give you a bit more power, a bit more tone, and a bit more sound to just keep up in that range with other people around you. And of course, the first time I ever put one in my mouth, it was like I was putting a tree trunk in my mouth. And I know someone who asked me the question said about the 5JB that they call it a 5JCB because it was like putting a digger in their mouth or something stupid. But the first time I played it, I couldn't get a note out of it. And they suggest that you play these with a softer reed, maybe a 2 or 1.5 or a 2. Now, when I first took up playing a 5JB, I was playing with a 2.5. But as time went on, I like a bit of resistance. So for me, this mouthpiece is perfect. If you read the description of this mouthpiece, it says it has a long face and it has a wide tip opening. If you don't understand all of that, which is something I didn't understand, I just knew I liked the sound and I knew that it was hard to blow. Turns out if it's hard to blow, it's got a wide tip opening. But if you can get used to it, you can start to build up a sound and build up tone, which is the most important thing. And I can find with my 5JB and my setup that I use, I can put this mouthpiece onto any clarinet and it will generally always sound like me. The sound, it's the most important bit for you, it's the mouthpiece. It's where this is the translator. This is, you know, what's inside you is going into this bit to then go through whatever clarinet you decide to play. But mouthpiece choice is such an important thing. And if you've never given a 5JB a go and you want to try and get this bigger, fuller sound, then I thoroughly recommend it. Don't be disheartened at first if you can't get a note out of it, because it's something that you have to build on. But nowadays I play with a stronger reed, with a 3.5 reed, but I'll talk about reeds later. But a Vandoren 5JB mouthpiece, I choose that because it works the best for me. I did, for a small period of time, move on to an even wider and bigger mouthpiece, which is the Vandoren 7JB. Now, that is certainly like putting the whole tree in your mouth. It has a massive sound, but I found it very hard to control, really. So I went back to the 5JB, and it's what I play to this day now. Check it out.